Welcome back. Well, major oil companies have asked Mozambique to send in more troops to guard their operations in the far north of the country. This after a surge of attacks by militants in the northern province of Cabo Delgado, home to one of the world's biggest gas finds in the past decade. Well, the area is also the center of a local insurgency there that's killed hundreds since 2017. Well, for more, let's chat to Peter Fabricius. He's a consultant with the Institute of Security Studies. Good afternoon, Peter, and thank you for your time on the SABC News Desk.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Can you just start off by giving us a sense of what's unfolding right now in Mozambique, especially now that troops are being called in to protect oil companies?
Yeah, well, that's always been the likely development, because there's been, as you said, this massive gas discovery in northern Mozambique, and then not long after that, the sudden upsurge in this jihadist activity from October 2017, and no one's quite sure how to connect the two together. But certainly they do present a potential threat to the exploitation of that gas. So they don't seem to have targeted those sort of gas facilities yet. But I mean, those gas facilities are still, of course, in their infancy. So that is a possible threat. Most of the attacks have been against civilians and against the military.
Peter, the local insurgency group you're speaking about, the ASWJ, coming into focus. It's been more than 2 years of such attacks on the citizenry there. What can you tell us about this particular group? Who are they? What are their links? And what is their motivation for such attacks at this point?
You know, to try and get a real handle on what's going on there has been very, very difficult, and you'll probably find that there's no one who can really claim to be sure. As you say, there's that Ulsana movement, which seems to be the main force there, but what is not clear is there's also some activities of affiliates of Islamic State. And I don't know, to be perfectly honest, whether the group that is generally called Al-Sunnah is the affiliate of the Islamic State. There's a UN report that came out earlier this week, in which it said that the Islamic State in Somalia has apparently been designated within the Islamic State overall organization to be in charge of the Central African Islamic State Central African province, under which falls both the Islamic State in Mozambique as well as the Allied Democratic Forces in the Eastern Congo, and how much of that of the overall activity in Cabo Delgado is due to the Islamic State, I'm afraid is one of those things which I'm not sure anybody really knows for sure. You know, so you have a very confused situation in terms of affiliations, the organogram, who's taking orders from who. I mean, clearly there is it's not just an external invasion. It's a homegrown movement. Most people believe that has now acquired some external linkages, external support, maybe to some degree. It's claiming affiliation to Islamic State to magnify its own importance. Contrarily, conversely, Islamic State may be looking to, for new fronts, because it lost its caliphate in Syria and Iraq. So from that point, but what is clear is that they're carrying out a lot of attacks. A lot of people are being killed, and very brutally in many cases, with beheadings and mutilations. These terrible videos you see after they attacked recently, last month, attacking an army base with bodies just chopped into pieces. It's quite extraordinary, and it's causing huge movements of refugees as well, and internal movements of refugees. Another one just this week. So it's
yes.
Yeah.
Peter, what's been the response so far from the Mozambican government on this one? And what do you feel we can read into this response? Because what's very worrying right now is that Maputo continues to call these acts, they've continued to call these incidents or attacks acts of criminality. Why do you think they are characterizing these attacks as such?
Yeah, I think there's a beginning of recognition that there's something more to that, and I'll go on to that in a moment regionally. I think that, in my view, it's simply that the Mozambique government does not want to acknowledge that it has a problem that needs to be dealt with. Externally, I think they're worried about the effect on gas investment. So there's a degree of denialism to do with that. There's also, I think, just pride, that's involved here. A determination to characterize this as the kind of problem that they can deal with themselves, and not to have it put on the agenda for example, of SADC, Southern African Development Community. This week, it was quite interesting that when she addressed South Africa's ambassadors and high commissioners in the rest of Africa, Naledi Pandor, the Minister of International Relations, was quite clear about the threat of jihadism, of Islamic extremism, and specifically of the Islamic State in northern Mozambique. It's the first time I've seen certainly such an explicit acknowledgement of the problem, and presenting it also as a threat to the region, because saying that this is the first time we've had such an eruption within SADC. So it maybe that's a sign that this problem is going to get on the agenda of SADC. I mean, one understands that it's been discussed privately and behind closed doors within SADC, but it's never been put on the SADC agenda. Officially, SADC does not recognize this as a problem, which means that there's an element of denialism that's not helping.
Peter Fabricius, we'll have to leave it there. He's with the Institute of Security Studies, joining us on the line from Johannesburg. Well, early on this week, international